Part 125. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 1241. Chapter 1241 Rescue. I'm fine, Xia Yingluo said. I probably made a fool of myself and ran back to see him. When I was caught this time, his attitude towards me was much gentler, maybe because she felt that fools were not worth caring about. Xia Yingluo burst into tears. Wei Shaiyin was very disdainful. Sooner or later you will kill yourself. Yes, she reflected deeply. You know you're wrong. No. Do you still want to go out? Think. She raised her head, her eyes full of hope. Uncle Wei, save me. Wei Shaiyin's face became even more contemptuous. Come on. I don't want to go to all the trouble to leave you, and then you throw yourself into a trap again. Isn't it fun? The bitter fruit you sow must be swallowed by yourself. Xia Yingluo reflected deeply and apologized repeatedly, finally appeasing her angry uncle. Wei Shaiyin calmed down a little. Just stay here, don't have any evil thoughts, and wait for the outcome of the negotiation between your parents and Wei Lingnan. Besides, after I meet with your parents this time, after learning about the true identity of my perverted little uncle, your parents ask me to tell you to be mentally prepared. What identity? Her heart beat wildly, uncontrollably. He is an alien. What? Xia Yingluo felt that all three views had collapsed. Is the world crazy? Are you sure you're not kidding me? Uncle Wei, how can there be aliens in this world? That stormy night, you turned back and lightning struck down. Wei Shaiyin said with a solemn expression, unwillingly, I saw it. Lightning struck a monster. That scene horrified him. Forgetting how to react, when he saw Li Lei and Xiaoling, he told them the scene. Unexpectedly, it was Xiaoling who told him this incredible truth. Xia Yingluo had difficulty breathing. It turned out that the monster she saw that day was not an illusion. Even Wei Shaiyin saw it. From the first time I met Wei Lingnan, all kinds of incredible scenes flashed through my mind like a fleeting glimpse, including the rapidly healing wounds, the speed of racing on the cliff that did not comply with the principle of gravity, the weird rejection reactions, dreams, and monsters under the street lights on rainy nights. There were so many doubts that she could no longer deceive herself. Her expression slowly turned pale. Unexpectedly, Wei Shaiyin wanted to give her a fatal blow. Your uncle has also come to S City. He wants you not to be afraid. He said that although Wei Lingnan is a stranger, he will not hurt you. Uncle is the most mysterious national master in the world. Since he said that Wei Lingnan is an alien, there is no doubt that Wei Lingnan must be an alien. Xia Yingluo was spinning, feeling that her understanding of the world in the past 10 years had been completely overturned. So, what Wei Lingnan said to her were all true. About the planet Scatana, the Guardian, and the little princess. She thought of the dream she had last night. In the dream, it was so tragic. She subconsciously held onto the table, trying hard to calm herself. Wei Shaiyin understood her mood very well. When he just learned the truth, he was severely shattered. The huge shock took him several days to digest before he recovered. Just now, he specifically asked Wei Lingnan, Uncle, are you really an alien? Wei Lingnan smiled mysteriously, it's not good to know too much. The reception room was very quiet. Wei Shaiyin looked at Xia Yingluo sympathetically, looking at the bright side. Being abducted by aliens can be considered a strange experience. Who wants this kind of experience? Xia Yingluo was going crazy. She didn't know how she sent Wei Shaiyin away, and walked toward the back of the small bungalow in a daze. On the first floor, next to the flower pavilion in the gentle breeze, a man's slender figure leaned against the uneven brick wall, twirling a cigarette between his knuckled fingers and raising his head slightly, looking somewhat lonely. Xia Yingluo's footsteps paused. It was the first time I looked at him seriously. Is he really an alien? He is so good looking, and his handsome face is no different from that of the top male supermodels on the planet. He has a straight nose, thin lips, and a huge fortune. He is the dream lover of many girls. No one would have thought that such a perfect man would turn into a monster in the storm that night. The difference between his original form and that of a human being was so great. Wei Ling turned his head from the south and saw her. For a moment, neither of them spoke. After a moment, she walked closer to him step by step, stretched out her hand, and took the cigarette out of his hand very naturally. Smoking is not good for your health. He did not resist and allowed her to smoke away the cigarette in his hand. Looking down at her, his voice was slightly ambiguous and hoarse. Care about my body? You are an alien and are not accustomed to the local environment. You should pay more attention to your health than people on Earth, she said. He smiled slightly and corrected, Skirtana. She looked up at him, her beautiful eyelashes curled like stamens, and her crystal eyes as bright as stars. She thought of the dream she had last night, in which he was covered in blood and vowed to protect that weak girl to the death. He must have loved that girl very much to remember her for so many years, and the sadness was unforgettable. Significantly, she reached out her hand and caressed his cheek. In her dream, she wanted to touch him like this. His skin was slightly cool, as cold as ice and snow to the touch, but his eyes were soft. He looked at her without blinking. After a moment, he reached out to grab her hand, put it to his lips and kissed her gently. I'm glad you can see who I am, he said. She said, I hope you find her soon. You are her. The breeze blew slowly across the lake, and the clothes of the two of them were entangled together, as if they would never be separated. However, it is just an illusion after all. They were wary of each other. Wei Lingnan did not relax his guard over her, and her desire to escape never died. Trapped in a small bungalow, she spent her days drinking tea and basking in the sun in the garden and by the waterside pavilion, silently counting in her mind when she would be rescued. The opportunity finally came. On this day, she was drinking tea under an old tree. Suddenly she felt a breeze beside her. When she looked up, she saw an extra person beside her. She was wearing a white professional suit and skirt, and her long hair was spread gracefully, like a quietly blooming flower. Flower. She looked at the man and was stunned for several seconds. Uncle, uncle. The person who came was none other than Xia Moyan, the mysterious and unpredictable imperial master. At this time, he was dressed in women's clothing, which was unexpectedly harmonious. Why are you dressed like this? Xia Yingluo was so shocked that she almost died. Xia Moyan looked indifferent. Time is running out, you put on my clothes and follow this map to go out and meet the rescue team. Remember, your identity is the product director of Blue Shark Pharmaceutical Group in Country F. This time you are following the company's negotiation team. Come to discuss the cooperative development of new anti-cancer drugs. This is to make up for yesterday's update at 10 o'clock. Recently, I have a problem with my biological clock and overslept again. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 1242. Chapter 1242, Seeing the Light of Day Again. Xia Yingluo immediately understood that her uncle had brought people to rescue her. After a moment of joy, she asked, Uncle, what will you do? If she pretended to be him and got out, wouldn't he be trapped in this perverted underground base? Xia Moyan said calmly, Wei Lingnan doesn't dare to touch me. For hundreds of years, the Xia family has maintained a subtle check and balance with Wei Lingnan. No matter how daring Wei Lingnan is, he would not dare to do anything to the Xia family's national division unless he wants to kill the enemy. What's more, that man loved Xia Yingluo deeply and would not really kill her relatives and make her hold a grudge for the rest of her life. Xia Yingluo nodded, understanding that now was not the time to waste time, so she changed into Xia Moyan's clothes. She took the small map handed to her by Xia Moyan. The route was marked with green lines on the dot light screen, dangers were marked with red marks, and there were other marks. She had seen them all when she was receiving survival training from her family, and she only scanned them. You can understand what it means at a glance. Take care, uncle. She turned around and plunged into the vast group of buildings. The map given by her uncle turned out to be very useful. Along the way, she managed to avoid several checkpoints and patrols without any danger. She also solved other obstacles with the help of the skills she had learned from her family over the years. After walking around for about half an hour, she arrived at the hall marked on the map. There were about 20 or 30 people in the hall, listening to a person who looked like a research institute explaining something. She slipped in quietly without attracting anyone's attention. Beside you, a man in a suit and tie said with a smile, "You are back, Miss Moyen." She knew immediately that it was the person who responded, calling her uncle's name so familiarly. She responded with a smile. The rescue plan went smoothly. The group did not stay too long and left after listening to the explanation. Xia Yingluo blended in with the crowd and left the base. When she walked out of the door of the old building, she couldn't believe that she had just come out like this. She turned back and took a look with mixed emotions. Under the bright sunshine, the building looked so ordinary. Who knew there were so many turbulent waves hidden deep underground in the building? "Miss, let's go," the receptionist reminded her in a low voice. Xia Yingluo then got into the car. Following the car all the way home her parents' residence in S City. As soon as she got out of the car, she saw her family standing at the door to greet her, Li Lei in an ordinary t-shirt, Xiaoling in a light silk dress, and Li Rui standing not far from them. "Dad, Mom," she rushed to hug them. Xiaoling and Li Lei also hugged her tightly, wanting to rub her into their arms. "You are finally back," Xiaoling said with excitement, her voice trembling a little. "Yingluo, do you know how worried your father and I have been during this time?" Xia Yingluo was also very excited and felt guilty. "I'm fine, Mom, I made you worry." "It's fine." Xiaoling looked at her carefully from head to toe, and saw that her skin was smooth and her eyes were clear. She was well maintained and she really didn't look like anything was wrong, so she was a little relieved. "Your two brothers are also worried about you," she said angrily to Xia Yingluo. "There are so many children in the family, and you are the least worried." Xia Yingluo smiled coquettishly, "That's because my parents and brothers love me." Turned around and gave Li Rui another big hug. "Second brother." Li Rui raised his eyebrows slightly. "I've been away from home for 11 months. Have you gone crazy playing outside? Now I'm pretending to call you second brother." Xia Yingluo smiled again. "No, I have always missed you. Do you want me to give you pocket money? Or take you to play?" Li Rui also smiled. "Or did you think of asking me to rescue you when you were in trouble? When you think about me, you will definitely be in trouble." Xia Yingluo was speechless. The two brothers in the family have a good relationship with her. However, the eldest brother Li Shaowai has been learning how to be an outstanding heir since he was a child. He has rarely had free time since she can remember. The second brother Li Rui is as playful as her and has taken care of her since she was a child. He followed her down rivers to catch fish, climbed trees to catch birds, and from time to time went to casinos and even red light districts to see the world. For these reasons, they often went from house to house, but this also allowed the brother and sister to form a deep revolutionary friendship. Having had enough with her second brother, she asked, "Where is the eldest brother?" "That guy Li Shaowai wants to stay at the headquarters and can't leave." Unlike Xia Yingluo's eldest brother and his second brother, Li Rui always calls Li Shaowai by his first name. The two of them often fought over this matter when they were young. However, Li Rui he will never change his ways, so Xiao Hui can only let him go. Xia Yingluo nodded and understood. "It is said that my unreliable father has been wanting to retire many years ago and hand over the burden of the family to others, so that I can travel with my mother. That's why he cultivated Xiao Hui desperately, and never did anything that Xiao Hui could do. She silently lit a candle for her elder brother and said, "Then I will call him later to let him know he is safe." The family got together again to talk. Xiaoling was afraid that Xia Yingluo would be tired, so she asked her to rest. Xia Yingluo bid farewell to them, returned to her room, fell on the bed and fell asleep. Watching her leave, Xiaoling looked a little sad and sighed softly. Li Lei, who was standing next to her, comforted her. "Don't worry, everything will be fine." He understood very well why his wife sighed. Yingluo, a child, has been having some terrible dreams since she was a child. This is not true for the blessed daughter of the Phoenix. Said it was unusual. Xia Moyan had warned them back then that the child was conceived after Xiaoling took the medicine given by Wei Lingnan, and there might be something special about it. Over the years, they had been carefully taking care of and protecting Yingluo, and nothing had happened to her for many years, which made them think that Xia Moyan's warning was just a false alarm. Unexpectedly, there is no way to stop what is coming. From various clues, they analyzed that maybe Yingluo was Wei Lingnan's purpose of living on Earth for a long time, and Wei Lingnan would not give up so easily. Xiaoling was worried about Zhongzhong, but she still managed to smile under her husband's comfort. Yingluo has been very lucky since she was a child. She will be fine. Li Lei hugged her gently. The two of them looked at the scenery in the villa garden together. Xiaoling was born petite, and she was already a mother of 2 children. She looked the same as when she was a girl, and her face was as beautiful as ever. This was a blessing that only those who were lucky enough to receive the blessings of time could have. She is a very blessed person. Her children will be fine too. Xia Yingluo slept for a long time. When she woke up, she put on a coat and saw her parents sipping a pot of tea together in the small garden. The faint afterglow of the sunset shone on them, and the hazy light and shadow made people feel full of joy. Peaceful. She felt a little envious. Her parents have always been a model of love in everyone's mouth. The music of the piano and the harp harmonizes, and the couple is made in heaven. Just a year ago, she was still full of hope that she could find a happy marriage like her parents, but Zhao Yuxuan, Wei Lingnan, why couldn't they have someone who would stay with them tenderly? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 1243. Chapter 1243 Little Leopard. Li Lei and Xiaoling also saw her. Xiaoling turned her head and smiled at her. "Yingluo, come here." She walked over to her parents and sat down. "Dad, Mom, I'm sorry for making you worry." Xiaoling's expression was gentle. "It's more important that you are fine than anything else. Yingluo, tell us what has happened this year. How did Wei Lingnan find you?" In fact, about her situation this year, we are still talking about it. After receiving Wei Shaiyin's warning, they conducted an investigation and generally knew everything. But I still hope that Xia Yingluo can tell it personally, which is different from those cold investigations. Xia Yingluo just said it from beginning to end, sighing unwillingly. "It's all because of that pervert that my experience failed." Since her family was alarmed, her experience must be considered a failure, which was too embarrassing. Xiaoling comforted her. "If anyone dares to laugh at you after we go back, I will help you deal with him." "Yeah," Xia Yingluo nodded heavily. As expected, her mother was the only one in the world who was good. "I was moved but also a little worried, Mom, if I really have something to do with that alien. I mean, just like he said, it's the alien girl he's looking for. I. She wanted to say something, but her mind was confused. Xiaoling held her daughter in her arms and gently stroked her long hair. I gave birth to you with great difficulty after 10 months of pregnancy. You are not an alien. Even if you are, you will always be my daughter. Yingluo, your dad, and I will love you forever. Her gentle words had the power to soothe people's hearts, calming down Xia Yingluo's heart little by little. Li Lei said, Yingluo, come back to the headquarters with us. We will give you the most complete protection. Xia Yingluo nodded, yes, but I have to go back to the training camp first to say goodbye to my friends. This sentence made Li Lei a little unhappy. Why don't you just go to the Emperor's training camp? Are you not good at Tianyi? That Zhao Yuxuan, no matter how you like that kind of man, you can't learn from your mother's vision back then. Do you like your father, who is gentle, considerate, and handsome like me? Xia Yingluo. Dad, you are obviously jealous. We all know that you don't like the Emperor, we understand. Xia Yingluo secretly glanced at her mother-in-law while complaining silently in her heart. I saw a dreamy smile on the corners of her dear mother's lips, looking at her sweetheart tenderly like a little girl in love, with a lot of amorous feelings between her eyebrows. Well, she does have the most loving parents in the world. Enable dog abuse mode every day. Xia Yingluo, who thought she was still a single dog, was very sad. She didn't want to stay here and continue to be abused, so she stood up and wanted to leave. Dad, Mom, you guys are busy first. I will go back to the room to make some preparations, and I will go to the training camp tomorrow to say goodbye to my friends. Xiaoling then turned around from her affectionate look at Li Lei and told her, ask your second brother to accompany you. Second brother. He is idle when he is idle. Instead of sitting around and drinking wine, it is better to accompany you to the training camp and let other students see what a handsome brother you have. To be conscientious, Li Rui is not bad in appearance and inherited from Su with his handsome features and the unique temperament of a mixed race. Tang is also a young man who understands the essence of fashion and knows how to dress up. He can make a lot of girls scream when he goes out and wherever he goes. Xia Yingluo laughed, I'm afraid he will be stopped by the training camp and have to sign as a trainee. Li Lei was displeased, he dares. What are you talking about? From a distance, a lazy voice came, I seem to hear my name. A few people turned around and saw Li Rui walking over from somewhere, wearing a flirty water-red satin shirt, with only one crystal button buttoned casually, exposing her chest. In his hand he was swinging a flower that he had broken off from somewhere, and on his shoulder stood a furry little leopard. Its four paws carefully stepped on his fine silk shirt, but it still scratched several places. Place. Xia Yingluo first called out, second brother, then she laughed, Dad said that if you dare to sign for the Emperor's training camp, he will break your legs. Li Rui walked closer and smiled, you little girl, don't put a wedge between my father and me. Even if he wants to break my legs, he should have forced you to force me to take you to the red light district. It's time to interrupt. Tell me, what are you trying to do with me this time? A pair of narrow, smiling eyes glanced at Li Lei and Xiaoling and called out, Dad, Mom. From the time he could remember, he knew that he was not Xiaoling's biological child, but the scene when his biological mother Su Tang almost beat him to death really traumatized him. His heart became cold, and he gradually lost interest in this tenderness. The stepmother opened her heart. As he grew older, he discovered by chance that not only was he not Xiaoling's biological child, he was not even Li Lei's biological child. Upon closer inspection, he was not qualified to enjoy the status of the young master of the Li family. But Xiaoling and Li Lei never mentioned a word and treated him as if they were their own child. Even, they never told Yingluo that he was not her biological brother. Li Rui always remembers this kindness. The relationship between the family is particularly harmonious now, and he really treats them as blood relatives. Xiaoling looked at Li Rui, where have you gone wild again? Dressed like this? Li Rui smiled lazily, it's a rare trip back to China, so of course I have to visit a few confidants. I remembered in the morning that my little leopard should be sent here, so I hurried back. As he said that, he stretched out his hand. He scratched the little leopard on his shoulder. Little milk leopard licked his hand tenderly. Xia Yingluo also stretched out her hand to tease it. It's so fun. Did you give birth to a little fur ball? How many were born? Little Mokayu is a female leopard in her family, the daughter of Ermao. When she left home for training, she heard people say that it was coming into estrus. Unexpectedly, by the time she saw her family again, little Mokayu had already given birth to a baby. Li Rui put the little leopard on the stone table and teased Xia Yingluo casually, I gave birth to two. It's called Rong Rong, and Li Shea Wise One is called Mao Mao. Huh? Without me? Xia Yingluo was unhappy. Li Rui looked at her and smiled evilly, who told you not to be here? Xia Yingluo was sad. She had always wanted a little leopard to play with. When Ermao started a family and had a little fur ball, she was still too young. Later, she finally expected the little fur ball to grow up and gave birth to two little leopards, but she didn't. For her sake, woo-woo. Li Lei also laughed, what kind of leopard does a girl keep? I'll find you another pet to play with some other time. Two little leopards were given to each of the two brothers. They were impartial and would be their combat partners from now on. For girls, such animals are still a bit cruel. Who said girls can't raise leopards? Xia Yingluo felt aggrieved and threw herself into Xiaoling's arms. Mom, they bullied me. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 1244. Chapter 1244, Rebirth Energy. Xiaoling touched her daughter's soft long hair and chuckled, be good. Li Rui watched her acting coquettishly from the side, lazily crossing her arms across her chest. Do you want me to accompany you to the training camp? Humph, I don't want to. She turned her head away proudly. Xiaoling touched her long hair again, be good, let your second brother accompany you. It's not just to look cool, but because she is being targeted by Wei Lingnan, who knows what will happen. With Li Rui by my side, I felt more at ease. Xia Yingluo also understood this. She swayed in Xiaoling's arms for a long time and nodded reluctantly. This time it was Li Rui Jiao, if you want me to accompany you, I will accompany you. Call me, brother, and come and listen. Bad second brother. She was unhappy. I won't go with you. Good second brother. Xia Yingluo compromised very spinelessly. Li Rui narrowed his eyes with satisfaction, this is so good. Wei Lingnan is like a time bomb hanging in the hearts of everyone, making people anxious. Weishi Biopharmaceutical Underground Base, small bungalow in family area. In the garden, Wei Lingnan looked coldly at Xia Mo, who was dressed in women's clothing and drinking tea leisurely, and said, who allowed you to wear her clothes? Xia Moyan said calmly, shouldn't we ask her where she went first? Wei Lingnan's tone was even colder, you still need to ask? Since you are here, she must have been replaced. There is a problem with the visitor group entering the company today. Xia Moyan said, I guess you are not stupid. Wei Lingnan looked at him with evil eyes, you will pay the price for your actions. He was careless and underestimated the ability of the Li family and the Xia family to jointly act. Xia Yingluo was replaced. He was very angry. All the security personnel on duty today must be punished, but even that could not save Xia Yingluo. Her family already knew who he was and would protect her closely. Xia Moyan didn't take his threat to heart and went straight to the point, I'll wait for you here. Wait for me. For hundreds of years, the Xia family has never been clear about your origins. They only roughly understand that you are not an aborigine of this planet. Wei Lingnan, since you have tampered with my sister and involved the Xia family in your plan, so, should you tell me more? Wei Lingnan sneered, why should I tell you? You need my help, Xia Moyan said firmly, we found out that Yingluo had a physical problem after coming into contact with you, and modern medicine cannot diagnose it. You must not be able to deal with her illness alone, otherwise, there will be no she won't have multiple attacks. With these words, Wei Lingnan narrowed his eyes slightly. You are very smart. Xiaomoyan said calmly, now, can you say it? He was actually not sure whether Wei Lingnan really needed help, but he was 50% sure that the bet was right. He didn't know whether it was luck or not. Unlucky. Wei Lingnan turned around and said, follow me. Xiaomoyan moved elegantly. Dressed in women's clothing, he looked like a well-bred lady, causing the staff passing by to stop and look back frequently. He followed Wei Lingnan all the way through the family area, and was sent into a deep black area by the metal conveyor belt in the work area. In the boundless darkness, a deep purple planet gradually appeared in front of him, so dark and mysterious. This is the planet that Wei Lingnan tried to take Xia Yingluo to see last time, but Xia Yingluo accidentally fell into coma. Star Scatena Wei Lingnan told Xiaomoyan, this is my hometown and Aluo's hometown. Xiaomoyan followed his footsteps and stepped onto the planet. The barren land and deep cracks were shocking. There are monsters fighting on the ground, and there is a faint whine and the smell of blood in the wind. A trace of emotion flashed across Xiaomoyan's usually calm face. Who are they? He asked Wei Lingnan, pointing at the monsters. The Scatena tribe is the original body of me and Aluo. Don't ask me to transform for you. It consumes too much energy. But not long ago, Aluo saw me transform with my own eyes. If you don't believe it, you can ask her after you go back, Wei Lingnan said. Xiaomoyan didn't intend to disbelieve it. The matter is now over, there is no need for Wei Lingnan to lie to him. As a national master, he has learned about the existence of Wei Lingnan from his fathers since he was a child. He is not completely unprepared for aliens and aliens. The question that worries him more is not this, but about Xia Yingluo. The Aluo you are talking about is my niece Xia Yingluo. How do you say she is a member of your race? She is obviously a human that Xiao Ling gave birth to after 10 months of hard work. Star Scatena was destroyed. Wei Lingnan said, with a hint of sadness in his voice, I reached out to grab her, but only caught the last piece of bones, which was a section of her little finger bone that was melted by the high temperature. I thought I resurrected her and wandered with that little finger bone in the vast universe for countless years and light years, searching for countless planets with life fluctuations, until I found this place, the Earth. Is there anything special about the Earth? Xiaomoyan felt that the answer was right in front of him. Of course, the Earth is very special, Wei Lingnan said. I felt a wave of rebirth energy. Fluctuation of rebirth energy. Xiaomoyan heard the statement for the first time and became concerned. Tell me more in detail. There was a hint of pride in Wei Lingnan's smooth and cold eyes. Among countless living planets in the entire universe, rebirth energy is a mysterious and rare energy. As the strongest warrior of the strongest race in the universe, I have been lucky enough to hear legends about rebirth energy on many planets, so even after searching for hundreds of millions of years, I never gave up. When the Earth released weak fluctuations of rebirth energy, I immediately captured the way that energy fluctuated. It's exactly what the rumors say, and I know that's it. What kind of fluctuation? Xiaomoyan asked. Wei Lingnan glanced at him. Humans are a weak race. Even you, the guardian of the planet, cannot feel the energy fluctuations. Xiaomoyan was unhappy. Humans are weak? We have the rare rebirth energy you said. Wei Lingnan said sarcastically, perhaps human beings have their own unique features and even unlimited potential, but I have to say it's lucky that you are in a remote part of the universe, otherwise I would have been invaded by advanced civilizations long ago. Xiaomoyan frowned and did not refute. They do know very little about other civilizations in the universe. No, to be precise, they know nothing at all. This situation is indeed not worthy of optimism. Continue talking. When did you feel the energy of rebirth? was it the time when the ancestors of the Xia family met you hundreds of years ago? Yes, Wei Lingnan said, I had just arrived on Earth at that time and was attracted by the rebirth energy. I knew Alogo could be saved. A twisted smile appeared on his lips. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 1245. Chapter 1245, Return to Training Camp. Xia Moyan roughly understood. Hundreds of years ago, the time when the ancestors of the Xia family met Wei Lingnan happened to be the time when the last phoenix achieved nirvana. Therefore, there would be rebirth energy fluctuations at that time, and it was still very weak. The previous phoenix failed to achieve nirvana. Wei Lingnan continued, the energy fluctuations disappeared quickly. I couldn't locate the exact direction. I only knew that it was roughly in China, so I came here and built a base while studying the energy on this planet. The way it works is to wait for the next wave. Over the past few hundred years, I have conducted a lot of research on trying to simulate the rebirth energy, but unfortunately it has failed. His tone was distant, as if he was talking about something that had nothing to do with him. Xia Moyan asked, what is failure? Wei Lingnan, after so many experiments, I couldn't create a living body at first. Later, I was able to create a living body, but it was incomplete. It was either missing arms or legs or had developmental abnormalities. It was neither like you humans nor us scars. The Tana people are real freaks. Xia Moyan frowned when he heard this. Anyone would feel uncomfortable hearing about a freak. Have you ever created a normal person before? He asked. No, Wei Lingnan said. Xia Moyan looked at him. So, when you gave the potion to my sister to drink, you actually couldn't guarantee what she would give birth to. Wei Lingnan said, Xiaoling is different from other mother bodies. Hundreds of years after I came to this planet, I once felt the fluctuation of rebirth energy, which was much stronger and lasted much longer than the last time. I followed the energy fluctuations to find her, and watched her gradually meet the Wutongmu you mentioned, get married and have children. The two of them are very good, loving, and powerful. If there is really a chance to resurrect my Alogo on Earth, they are the ones. The best choice. Alogo will also like such parents. Xia Moyan said, I don't like you talking about my sister and niece like this. Wei Lingnan smiled, don't be like this, sooner or later we will be a family. I have been wandering with Alogo's little finger bone for hundreds of millions of years. After repeated experiments, her genes have become weaker and weaker, and she must use a human body to wake up. Xiaoling and Li Lei are her biological parents. In a biological sense, there is no doubt that they are my parents-in-law, and you are also my uncle. While saying such words, there was not much respect on his face. Xia Moyan felt that the matter was very difficult, and he suddenly understood Xia Yingluo's mood. Who wants to have anything to do with this perverted monster? It is against ethics to create human beings by unnatural means. The ethics of the earth cannot restrict me. Wei Lingnan smiled again. Do you think my research over the past few hundred years was in vain? I have long understood the way the earth's energy operates, including what you call heavenly retribution. I have studied the cause and effect cycle all over. I have done a lot of environmental protection and charity work, and even secretly promoted human exploration of the universe, which has increased the vitality and self-preservation ability of this planet. I have been praised and punished by this planet for a long time. It can be offset. As long as I don't act aggressively, I'll be fine. What is aggressive behavior? For example, wake up Alogo and breed heirs. This is a terrible racial invasion, and the advanced races will definitely crush the weak indigenous people. Xia Moyan frowned again, but that's exactly what you are trying to do now. Wei Lingnan said, so I need your help. To be honest, the earth is too weak and not challenging at all. It cannot inspire the Scatena tribe's desire to invade. I am not interested in conquering you at all. I am only interested in conquering you. I hope I can live a good life with Aluo, but it's a pity that your planet doesn't think so. As the scatena gene in Aluo's body gradually awakens, the Earth's suppression of her becomes stronger and stronger. I'm worried that if it continues like this, it will she's hurt? Then never awaken. The awakening has begun and cannot be stopped. Xiaomoyan looked at him, as if she wanted to see the truth in his words. After a long time, her voice became deeper. When you chose Xiaoling as your mother, didn't you already agree that the Xia family would not just sit back and ignore it? Wei Lingnan did not answer, only smiled slightly at him. The next day, Xia Yingluo dressed up carefully and happily took her brother to the emperor's training camp. The training camp was covered with greenery and summer flowers were blooming. Not long after she walked in, she received many sideways glances. Look, isn't that Xia Yingluo? There were rumors that she was missing. Why did she suddenly appear again? Yes, it's really Xia Yingluo. She has been missing for many days. The school has sent people to contact her parents in the mountains. It's really strange. I don't know where she came from again. She looks well dressed, and she doesn't look like she has endured hardship. Who is the handsome guy next to her? He seems to be very close to her. Maybe she's hooked up with a new rich man again. No wonder she refuses to come to school. Fortunately, the school went to great lengths to find her. I heard that even the Emperor Company was alerted she is an honors student and knows how to. It's normal to alarm the company. Amidst the whispers, Xia Yingluo seemed not to have heard anything and walked forward happily humming. Li Rui smiled beside her. It seems you are quite popular here. Xia Yingluo turned around lightly under a big tree. If you want to laugh at me, just laugh at me. They just don't like me, huh? Would you like my second brother to help you deal with them? Forget it, I have to drop out of school. One more thing is worse than one less thing to worry about. Her father has arranged a special person to deal with the issue of her dropping out of school. I believe that the withdrawal procedures will be completed in the next few days. She just had to come and say goodbye to Jin Linger today. At this time, Jin Linger should be taking acting classes. Xia Yingluo wanted to give her a surprise, so she walked to the practice room door in a familiar way without telling her in advance that she was coming. In the practice room, there are indeed familiar faces. Teacher Qian, who teaches an acting class, stood on the podium with a whip in his hand. He whipped Jin Linger, who was also standing on the podium, and scolded, "I told you to stand up straight. You are playing a ballet dancer, so you have to stand with dignity. Look at you staggering around, don't you know what you're acting like?" Jin Linger remained silent and tried to stand up straight, but she was still a little shaky. Teacher Qian scolded again, "Have you not had enough to eat? Look at Zhang Bilian's excellent figure. She is in the same class. Is there such a big difference?" Jin Linger bit her lip tightly and remained silent. Teacher Qian turned around and said kindly to Zhang Bilian, "React the scene of the quarrel on stage to her and let her learn from it." Zhang Bilian responded with a smile and stepped forward gracefully. "I want to tell you some good news." Yingying, who overslept again last night and learned from the pain, did not do anything this morning but worked hard to save the manuscript. Today's 3 chapters have been written and will be released regularly. There will be no less updates today. I shed tears, spread flowers. Yingying strives to save more, and try to ensure that there are saved manuscripts in the future instead of writing now, working on it. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 1246. Chapter 1246. The school year chief has been replaced. Her steps are nimble and her back is straight, like a real ballet dancer. A smile flashed in his eyes, and he said to Jin Linger tenderly, "It's necessary for teaching, I'm sorry. As soon as he finished speaking, he changed his gentle attitude and slapped Jin Linger hard. There was a crisp snap sound, and Jin Linger staggered a few steps and fell to the ground. Linger, Xia Yingluo was horrified by what she saw, and rushed in from the door to help Jin Linger. Are you okay? Then she raised her head and looked at Zhang Bilian angrily. How can you hit someone randomly? Her appearance stunned everyone. Zhang Bilian looked at her as if she had seen a ghost. You, didn't you go to a bar to drink, and then you were drugged and sold to a red light district abroad? This was a rumor she secretly spread about Xia Yingluo's disappearance. One of the most popular versions. Xia Yingluo was furious after hearing this. You were just sold to the red light district. Nonsense. Even if she is willing to degenerate, which red light district would dare to accept her? Aren't you afraid that her father and brother will come to destroy their lair? Jin Linger also looked at her in surprise. Yingluo, you're back. As she spoke, she hugged her tightly and cried with joy. Great, great. I thought something happened to you, and I'm looking for you to go crazy. Do you know? Xia Yingluo felt warm in her heart and hugged Jin Linger. I'm fine, don't worry. Where have you been? Jin Linger held her face and looked carefully. You have lost so much weight. Are you suffering from hardship? No, the incident with Wei Lingnan was really hard to explain. Instead, Xia Yingluo took a closer look at Jin Linger and saw that her cheeks were swollen and there were clear fingerprints on her face. She couldn't help but be angry. What's going on? Why did that do this to you? Who are you calling a bitch? Zhang Bilian was very unhappy. What's wrong with you? Xia Yingluo sneered coldly. You admitted it so quickly. I've only been out of the training camp for a few days and you're bullying my friend like this. Linger, don't be afraid, tell me anything. I make the decision for you. Jin Linger reunited with her, as if she had found her backbone, and said bitterly, Teacher Qian asked me and Zhang Bilian to demonstrate a part in the training camp's self-produced drama The Rose of the Blue Angel, and said to give me a chance to let I play the heroine, and Zhang Bilian plays the supporting actress. He said with a mocking smile. It started a few days ago. I only play scenes where the heroine is bullied. I repeat it over and over again. Yingluo, you don't know that during your absence, I tried many scenarios. Maybe the training camp wanted to train me in the path of suffering. She said it sarcastically, which made Xia Yingluo furious. Xia Yingluo turned to look at Teacher Qian. Teacher, you have gone too far. She was beautiful, and when she was angry, her facial features were so majestic that people dared not look at her. Teacher Qian felt guilty for some reason, and subconsciously defended herself. It was Zhang Bilian who suggested the role in Blue Angel of Roses. She is the principal of the school year. Have this power. Chief of the academic year? Xia Yingluo raised her eyebrows slightly. Why is it that after I've been away for just a few days, the president of the academic year was changed? The emperor's academic president has always been the best performing student of the year, and in this term, Xia Yingluo has always been the one. Hearing this, Zhang Bilian said, Xia Yingluo, how can you be the chief who has been missing for so long without even saying hello? I was appointed at a critical moment and was elected as a last resort. I have been so tired these days that I have no time to sleep. I am too exhausted. In the classroom, Zuzu and others also chimed in. That's right, Xia Yingluo, Sister Bilian has done so much for you, but you are not only ungrateful, but also aggressive. What are you talking about? Stop making trouble unreasonably. Really? Xia Yingluo ignored the others and only stared at Zhang Bilian. Then since I'm here, please step down. President of the school year is not a child's play. How can you take up the post when you want to and resign when you want to leave? Teacher Qian on the side interrupted. Zhang Bilian had a good family background and knew how to respect her teachers, so she naturally wanted to defend her. Xia Yingluo, you violated the school rules and stayed out at night. What qualifications do you have to continue to be chief? I don't remember that being the chief means you can't break school rules. You're so messy. Teacher Chien, it seems that you plan to protect Zhang Bilian to the end, Xia Yingluo asked coldly. Teacher Chien was a little timid when she saw her, but remembering the things Zhang Bilian had shown her filial piety from time to time, she still managed to hold on. Stop making trouble here, Xia Yingluo, hurry up and go to the academic affairs office to explain your disappearance clearly. What punishment does the school give you? Xia Yingluo was filled with anger. She had to seek justice for Jin Ling'er today. Just being reasonable here is of course useless. In a world like the Emperor where the jungle is strong and the strong eat the strong, whoever has the biggest fist is the last word. The simplest and crudest method is: what are you doing standing by the door? Haven't you seen me being bullied? She turned her head and said dissatisfiedly to Li Rui, who was standing by the classroom door watching the show. This kind of bullying was her second brother's specialty, and it was his turn to help. Li Rui was watching the play enthusiastically, but he didn't expect the flames of war to burn him, so he lazily walked in. Everyone in the classroom's eyes lit up. This handsome guy, who was at least 1.8 meters tall, seemed to be born with an aura. His somewhat evil and lazy temperament made people unknowingly attracted to him. He was wearing clothes that were worth a lot of money. Wearing a flamboyant floral silk shirt, diamond earrings, and a famous watch, his eyes were half squinted, half smiling. At first glance, he is rich. At second glance, he was very rich. That is a typical temperament found in dandies from rich families. Li Rui stood in the classroom and rubbed Xia Yingluo's hair affectionately. His eyes with an evil smile swept over the faces of the trainees under the podium one by one, and his well-maintained hands pointed back. The pointer said, you, and you, I have all remembered it. If you offend our Yingluo, I will make you walk away without finishing the meal, he said with a meaningful smile. The smile makes people's hearts tremble. Zhang Bilian was also a little afraid of this man. But she had never seen rich people, and her own family was considered a small wealthy family. She mustered up the courage to say to Li Rui, this is a classroom. No idlers are allowed in. Sir, please go out and don't disturb the classroom order. Xia Yingluo gave Zhang Bilian 32 likes in her heart. Growing up, there may have been people who dared to offend her eldest brother, but there were really not many people who dared to offend her second brother. Should we say that she is ignorant and fearless, or that she is courageous? He then heard Li Rui ask, who are you? What qualifications do you have to ask me out? Zhang Bilian said, I am the academic chief here, and this is my qualification. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 1247. Chapter 1247. Chu Chen appears. She despises Xia Yingluo even more. She has been missing for so many years. Could it be that there is a new sponsor? The Li Rui in front of him was clearly a cynical playboy. He was so close to Xia Yingluo, and he could only guess with his toes what their relationship was. However, Xia Yingluo is still shameless and brings people to class. Do you really think that being close to a financial sponsor is a big deal? Her eyes showed a bit of disdain. Li Rui looked at her with interest. Xia Yingluo, the serious school principal, is here. You really have a face. Sister Bilian is the head of the school year. Zuzu boldly supported Zhang Bilian. Yes, Bilian is the one. Many boys also supported Zhang Bilian. Zhang Bilian is their goddess, right? She is gentle, graceful, and clean, while Xia Yingluo is too watery. Since she entered school, her sponsors have changed one after another. The key is that everyone is richer, more powerful, and handsome than these trainees, which makes them very envious and jealous. Li Rui glanced around the classroom again and smiled, I will remember you. Turning his fingertips lightly, he took out his mobile phone and made a call, ask the principal of the Emperor's training camp to get in front of me within 3 minutes. This sentence made everyone in the classroom except Xia Yingluo feel that they were hallucinating. What? Let the principal roll in front of him in 3 minutes. Who does he think he is? The Emperor? Even Jin Linger pulled at Xia Yingluo uneasily. Yingluo. Xia Yingluo knew what she was worried about, so she gave a reassuring smile and whispered, "Don't worry, he is very powerful." How powerful can it be? Can he actually command the principal of the Emperor's training camp? You must know that the authority of the principal of the Emperor training camp in the city even exceeds that of many small wealthy families. Zhang Bilian was also surprised and looked at Teacher Qian inquiringly. Teacher Qian wondered about the origin of the man in front of him. I have never heard of such a from the Pei family. If it were not for the important children of the Pei family, it would be impossible for anyone to command the principal of the training camp. Isn't this a bluff? Excuse me, who are you? With doubts in his heart, Teacher Qian even spoke more politely. Li Rui ignored her at all. If it weren't for his sister, these people would never be able to catch his eye. The atmosphere was filled with awkward silence. However, 3 minutes passed and the principal did not appear. The faces of Teacher Qian and others gradually changed from nervous to relaxed. "Sir, if you don't reveal your identity, I will call security." In her opinion, Li Rui was obviously bluffing and failed. Zhang Bilian's eyes also showed disdain, and she looked at Xia Yingluo. "Xia Yingluo, classmate, don't blame me for not reminding you that you must not be too bad when looking for a boyfriend. You stay out all night and you forcefully break into the classroom. In the end, I was kicked out by the security guards, so why bother?" "Haha, it's so funny." Many of Zuzu and the others laughed. Xia Yingluo raised her chin slightly. "Not everyone is as dirty as you think. The man in front of her is her brother, not some messy financial sponsor, but she doesn't bother to explain too much to them, so they deserve it." Teacher Qian really asked someone to call security. Li Rui remained unmoved and protected Xia Yingluo and Jin Linger from confronting them. Jin Linger was worried and whispered to Xia Yingluo, "Let's go, don't get angry with them. It will be ugly to be kicked out." Xia Yingluo also whispered, "Come on. Look at my sister, I will kill everyone." Jin Linger was speechless. While waiting anxiously, the classroom door finally opened. Everyone turned their heads to look. Zhang Bilian said with a smile, "Since you are unwilling to leave, don't blame the security guards for rushing." She stopped mid-sentence and looked at the people walking in from outside the classroom door in surprise. Man. The man was wearing a dark suit and holding a shiny crocodile leather briefcase in his hand. He walked into the classroom neatly and elegantly. "It's so lively here." Li Rui put his hands into his trouser pockets. "Isn't it very lively?" "Who are you?" Before the man could answer, Teacher Qian on the side had already called out tremblingly, "Chu, Mr. Chu." She never expected that the person who came in would be the most trusted confidant around Chairman Pei Zion. Under the Emperor's hand, Chu Chen covers the sky. What is he doing here? Is it a coincidence or did he come here on purpose? If it's on purpose. Teacher Qian had an ominous premonition in his heart. How could the man in front of him be so virtuous and capable that Chu Chen could come to him specifically? Chu Chen ignored Teacher Qian, first glanced at Xia Yingluo and smiled, "We meet again." His kind attitude towards Xia Yingluo surprised many people. Oh my god, what is happening? Why would Chu Chen, the Emperor's powerful prime minister, be so polite to a young trainee? Only Zhang Bilian knew the inside story. At the engagement party between Pei Yan and Zhao Yuxuan, Pei Zion had a favorable eye for Xia Yingluo. She hid this matter from others after she came back and didn't know much. Seeing that it was her, Xia Yingluo also smiled. "Uncle Chu, say hello to Uncle Pei for me." Chu Chen nodded calmly, "He is fine." Everyone present was shocked again. Why did Xia Yingluo call Pei Zion Uncle Pei? When did she become so close to the emperor's most powerful person? For a time, countless doubtful eyes wandered between the two of them. Li Rui on the side coughed lightly and lectured Xia Yingluo unhappily, "What are you asking him for? Be careful to get beaten when you go back." Xia Yingluo shrank her neck guiltily and whispered, "You will scare me." Everyone knew that her father hated Pei Xian. If he knew that she was so polite to Pei Xian, he might really get beaten. Li Rui grinned at her. Chu Chen turned to look at him, his eyes calm and deep. "Don't forget whose territory you are on, second young master Li." The other teachers and students in the classroom suddenly realized that the young man who had been protecting Xia Yingluo was the second young master Li, but who was the second young master Li? After all, teacher Qian is well informed. When the surname Li is mentioned, the first thing that comes to mind is the Li family of Tianyi. You are Li Rui, the second son of Tianyi," she exclaimed in shock. In her memory, she once said in a news article, "I saw Li Rui online, and he looks like this." Li Rui looked at her with a trace of ridicule, "Remember? It's a pity it's too late," the villain complained first and said to Chu Chen, "The emperor's discipline of employees is getting more and more lax. I don't think it will take long if this continues. It will be annexed by Tianyi." "What's the matter with Mr. Chu's visit today?" Chu Chen really wanted to throw him out. He was doing errands nearby today, but he remembered that Xiaoling's daughter had been reported missing for several days, and he didn't know what the progress was, so he stopped by the training camp to find the principal. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 1248. Chapter 1248, Comparing Acting Skills. Just as the principal was crying to him with snot and tears about how much manpower and material resources the training camp had spent to find the little ancestor, he received a call from Tianyi's staff saying that his second young master was at the emperor training camp and asked the principal go and pick up the driver quickly. Of course, taking over is just an arrogant way of saying Tianyi, and the emperor would not really praise the Li family so highly. However, this second young master is known as a playboy. Who knows what trouble will happen? Perhaps he came here for the missing Xia Yingluo. When he thought that this matter involved Xiaoling's children, Chu Chen pressed the principal and came over to see the situation in person. Unexpectedly, I unexpectedly saw Xia Yingluo in perfect condition. "When did you come back?" he asked Xia Yingluo. "The training camp has been looking for you for a long time." "Just now," Xia Yingluo said with dissatisfaction, "as soon as I came back, I found that they were bullying my friends. If I came back a few days later, would they have bullied my friends to death?" As she spoke, Jin Ling she told him, "How can a little girl see anyone with her face beaten like this? I don't care, I want to fight her back." This was her purpose. "Call back." Zhang Bilian looked ugly and couldn't help shouting, "I didn't mean it, it was just necessary for practice." Chu Chen's eyes glanced slightly. He had been in a high position for a long time, and his eyes seemed to contain silent pressure, which immediately made Zhang Bilian shut up. Chu Chen then continued to talk to Xia Yingluo, "Where have you been during this time? What happened? Is it dangerous? Do you want him to help vent your anger? You have to reveal some inside information to him and let him go back and report to Pei Xian." Xia Yingluo naturally understood what he meant, so she said what she could. "That pervert Wei Lingnan fell in love with me and insisted that I be his girlfriend. If I didn't agree, he wouldn't let me go. How can I? He was rescued easily." Li Rui scolded her from the side, "You are so stupid, don't you know how to stay away from the pervert? Next time you are stupid, no one will save you." Xia Yingluo smiled, hugged her brother's arm and rubbed it. Chu Chen has been following Pei Xian for a long time and roughly knows that Wei Lingnan is a mysterious and dangerous character. He was surprised to hear that he had taken a liking to Xia Yingluo. However, it is no wonder that the intelligence said that both Li Lei and Xiaoling had returned to China, and Ganking had rushed back after finding out that Xia Yingluo had fallen into the hands of Wei Lingnan. He still has many questions to ask, such as how is your mother? For example, what does that pervert see in you? But I couldn't find out anything substantial by just using my toes, so I had to give up. Xia Yingluo looked at him with a pair of clear eyes. Uncle Chu, you are an executive of the emperor. Have you ever heard of such a rule in the training camp? Not long after the chief left, someone else took his place without saying hello. This is to attack Zhang Bilian. Chuchen said cooperatively, there are no such rules in the emperor's training camp. Here, whoever has the most power is the king's law. Today's king's law is undoubtedly Chu Chen. Zhang Bilian panicked, Mr. Chu, I am really unjust. Xia Yingluo disappeared for many days without saying goodbye, violating the rules of the training camp, and everyone elected me as the chief. We don't know when she will come back, always we can't let the chief remain vacant. Many daily teachings are inseparable from the assignment and coordination of the chief. I have no choice but to take up the position. Chu Chen didn't want to reason with her. From today on, the chief will still be Xia Yingluo. Zhang Bilian, you can go to the Academic Affairs office to collect your punishment later. Zhang Bilian's face was pale and she wanted to say something else. After looking at Chu Chen's expression of no room for change, she finally took a breath and stopped asking for trouble. Opposite her, Xia Yingluo's delicate little face burst into laughter, looking at Zhang Bilian triumphantly, full of provocation. Chu Chen has always been thoughtful in doing things. At this time, a good person will do it to the end. He said to Teacher Qian, you ignored the normal process of appointing and removing the chief of the training camp and supported Zhang Bilian, an unqualified person, to be elected. You will also go to the Academic Affairs office to collect your punishment later. Teacher Qian didn't dare to complain. He was slapped in the face in front of so many students. He just felt very embarrassed. Yes. Xia Yingluo smiled again. Sure enough, this Uncle Chu was extremely successful. He was worthy of being the fastest rising and most secure executive with a foreign surname in the emperor. Jin Linger finally breathed a sigh of relief at this moment. Although she still didn't understand what was going on, she was still very clear that the wind was on their side and smiled, so, some people should not be too proud, good and evil. There will be retribution in the end, it's not that we won't repay it, the time has not yet come. She didn't know how much she suffered during this period. Ever since Xia Yingluo disappeared, Zhang Bilian and others have found various reasons to bully her. Ordinary students cannot resist the chief. She had no choice but to endure the teacher's mistake, otherwise she would violate school rules, which could result in points being deducted or even being expelled. Jin Linger had long been filled with anger. She smiled happily, but Zhang Bilian, Zuzu and the others couldn't laugh. Many people were even secretly shocked. When did Xia Yingluo hook up with the second young master of the Li family? If the second young master of the Li family is protecting her, and if Mr. Chu or even Director Pei is optimistic about her, then this girl's background is too unfathomable. Who would dare to touch her? Many people have regretted offending her before. Xia Yingluo looked at them with bright eyes. Okay, I am the chief now, let's continue the class. Continue class. For a moment, no one could react. Xia Yingluo said, why are you still standing there? I see you are having a lot of fun practicing Blue Angel's Rose. In order to explore everyone's acting skills from all aspects and angles, the roles will be reversed next. Zhang Bilian, you will play the one who gets beaten, the heroine. Linger, come and beat her. Jin Linger almost laughed out loud. Xia Yingluo's move was so wonderful. Okay, she was eager to give it a try. She immediately moved her wrist and said to Zhang Bilian provocatively, you're ready? Zhang Bilian's face changed slightly. You are taking revenge. How do you talk? Xia Yingluo smiled evilly. Linger is just competing with you on acting skills. Just as you acted to her, she will act to you later. How can this be considered revenge? Or, do you think what you did to Ling Er just now is too excessive, too shameless, and too despicable? Only extremely vicious and despicable people can do such things. This sentence is simply a trap for Zhang Bilian. Zhang Bilian can neither advance nor retreat. She is extremely anxious. She looked at Teacher Qian for help, hoping that Teacher Qian could help her speak, but Teacher Qian looked away guiltily and pretended not to see it. No one wants to offend the two big figures Chu Chen and Li Rui. Zhang Bilian was desperate. Jin Ling Er waved her hand and slapped him with all her strength. A crisp slap sounded in the classroom, and soon, several red marks appeared on Zhang Bilian's face. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 1249. Chapter 1249, Hit Back Every Slap. She subconsciously covered her face, her eyes filled with humiliation. Xia Yingluo smiled, well done, well done. Ling Er, your slap is really heroic and majestic. I like it. Jin Ling Er sang along with her, thank you, Chief, for the compliment. It's just that the classmate who acted with me seemed a bit thick-skinned, and it hurt my hands from the beating. As she said this, she even rubbed her hands exaggeratedly. She felt very sorry for Zhang Bilian, and had been tormenting her in various ways for many days. Zhang Bilian had slapped her so many times in front of everyone, but now she only slapped her once, which was considered a light slap. Xia Yingluo seemed to have read her thoughts and said seriously, it hurts. How can you be afraid of being tired when acting? No matter how painful it is, you must endure it and set a good example for other students. Although you acted well just now, but your co-star is terrible at her acting. I can't stand her acting skills. You should work harder and practice more scenes with her, which can be considered as a way to help your classmates improve. It's hard for her to justify a lot of bully things she said. Li Rui wanted to laugh when he heard this, but other students in the classroom felt chills running down their spines. The consequences of offending Xia Yingluo were terrible. Zhang Bilian was slapped when she was a child. She couldn't bear the one slap. When she heard that she was going to receive more slaps, she said wisely, I don't feel well. I feel dizzy. I can't act anymore. Are you feeling uncomfortable? Xia Yingluo frowned slightly, seeming a little embarrassed. Zhang Bilian nodded repeatedly, hoping in her heart that this little would let her go. Unexpectedly, Xia Yingluo laughed, turned to Chu Chen and said, Uncle Chu, I remember the teacher always taught us that being an artist is a physical job. How can we be an artist if we don't have good physical strength? Why don't we let Zhang Bilian take a break from school and go home to recuperate? Bar. Chu Chen said calmly, your proposal is worth considering. He may not really intend to touch Zhang Bilian. After all, Zhang Bilian is a top student in the training camp. It is not appropriate to expel Zhang Bilian for no reason. But Xia Yingluo has to support herself, so why is Chu Chen so talented? An ambiguous sentence spoken skillfully would be enough to scare Zhang Bilian. Sure enough, Zhang Bilian was frightened. How could she, who has never set foot in society, be a rival to an old man like Chu Chen? He was defeated after half a round. I don't want to drop out of school. Then practice hard. Xia Yingluo smiled slyly, Ling Er, continue. Golden Ling Er responded cheerfully and slapped her face down again, making another crisp sound. Over and over again, Jin Ling Er counted the times in her mind, and did not stop until she slapped Zhang Bilian 7 times, and said to her, Zhang Bilian, you slapped me 6 times, I will give you 7 in return, the extra one is teach you how to be a human being. Zhang Bilian's cheeks were swollen. She was so angry and embarrassed that she couldn't speak. Xia Yingluo was extremely relieved. She deserved it. Who told Zhang Bilian to bully her friend first? She asked Jin Ling apart from Zhang Bilian, who else bullied you during my absence? Jin Ling's eyes swept towards the audience one by one. Everyone she saw was speechless and wished they could shrink themselves underground. Forget it, Jin Ling turned to Xia Yingluo and said, everyone else is an accomplice. Remember, as long as they don't trouble me again, forget it. If they dare to trouble me again, then I will go harder and get it back. To be honest, those accomplices are just Zhang Bilian's supporters and lackeys, just following the crowd and making noises. It would be pointless to argue with each other. Xia Yingluo nodded, liking Jin Ling's open-mindedness very much. Uncle Chu, thank you, she said to Chu Chen with a sweet smile. To be honest, today's bad breath was able to come out so smoothly thanks to Chu Chen being here. Otherwise, although her second brother's status is noble, he is a rival company after all, and the teachers and students here may not buy it. Chu Chen said, you're welcome. He didn't tell Xia Yingluo anything, he didn't take credit, and he didn't take the opportunity to ask for anything. The relationship between Xiaoling's children and the emperor was so wonderful that sometimes even he wasn't sure what Pei Xian was thinking. It was not good to be too self-assertive. Xia Yingluo took her second brother's hand and said, let's go. Wait, Li Rui refused. He didn't have any good qualities of being open-minded. At this time, he pointed at several trainees in the classroom and said to Chu Chen, this, and this. These people just said to Yingluo, no disrespect, I feel very uncomfortable and I hope the training camp will take care of it. The expressions of the people whose names he called changed. Who knew this dandy young man was so vindictive? Don't punish us, we know we were wrong, they cried sadly, for fear of being expelled from school or being slapped. Chu Chen said, I broke the rules in the camp by rushing into the headmaster. I will go to the academic affairs office to receive the punishment according to the school rules later. It will be double. There are specific provisions in the school rules about confronting the head of the school year. They are punished for running, cleaning, and writing self-reflections. Although double punishment is not easy, it is still much better than being slapped in the face or expelled from school. Several trainees were grateful and thanked Chu Chen. Chu Chen smiled, why are you thanking me? This time I punish you lightly for the sake of our guests. Why don't you thank Xia Yingluo and second young master Li? Everyone then woke up and hurriedly thanked them. These two were living kings of hell. If they were accidentally offended, who knew what revenge they would use? Xia Yingluo won a great victory. She held her second brother in one hand and Jin Ling in the other, and was sent out of the classroom with everyone's trembling respect. Ha ha ha, I feel so relieved today, Jin Ling laughed so hard before she had gone very far. Yingluo, you know, this is simply the happiest day for me in recent times. Those nasty guys deserved what they got when I saw them. Look, sister, I'm so happy. Xia Yingluo also laughed with her, ha ha ha, don't worry, I will protect you from now on. No one dares to bully you. Jin Ling originally wanted to express doubts, but when she thought of Xia Yingluo's majestic appearance today, she suddenly remembered another thing. By the way, why are you hanging out with the second young master of the Li family? Li. Second young master. She suddenly realized that Li Rui was standing next to her, his slender body leaning against a blackboard in the corridor, and he had been looking at them with a smile for a long time. So Jin Ling said coquettishly, hello, it's an honor to meet you. Our Yingluo didn't cause you any trouble, right? She's a very nice person, really. Li Rui smiled evilly, she is very nice? Are you sure? Jin Ling was anxious, Yingluo is really good. She is beautiful and kind, I can guarantee it. Second young master Li, please don't bully her, she was worried that her good friend would suffer from the rich kid, so she hurriedly made a fuss praise. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 1250. Chapter 1250. Li Rui is generous. Li Rui looked at her hurriedly jumping with great amusement. Xia Yingluo couldn't stand it any longer, reached out and pinched Li Rui's handsome face, and said viciously, "Just pretend." Then she turned to Jin Linger and said, "Why are you afraid of him? He is just a bully. Don't scream. Master, call me brother." "Huh, brother?" Jin Linger was a little confused. "I am Xia Yingluo's brother, and Xia Yingluo is my sister." Li Rui slapped Xia Yingluo's dishonest hand away and said with a smirk, "Brothers and sisters from the same father and mother, don't doubt it, Jin Linger, right? You are so beautiful. Are you interested in going drinking with me? Don't hook up with my friend." Xia Yingluo couldn't stand him anymore, so she reached out to pinch his face again, "Otherwise I'll fight you." Li Rui still smiled, looking at Jin Linger with a pair of evil eyes. There were still many beauties in the training camp, beautiful and pure, tisk tisk. Over there, Jin Linger, who was watching their fight, was already stunned. What, a brother from the same father and mother? The father of the second young master of the Li family is Li Lei, a well-known Chinese boss in the world, and his mother is Ye Xingling, the reincarnation of the super diva Xiaoling, and is still a super diva today. In other words, Yingluo is actually the daughter of two such powerful people. Jin Linger felt that her brain was running out, so she grabbed Xia Yingluo and said, "I'm not dreaming, am I? Yingluo, please pinch me quickly." Xia Yingluo really stretched out her hand and pinched her face. "What are you dreaming about? Your good friend, I am the legendary super white and rich girl. Ha ha ha, from now on you will follow me and do whatever you want, eat well and drink hot food, and have whatever you want." Really? Jin Linger blinked and turned to look at Li Rui, who nodded and smiled. She finally accepted the reality and cheered, "Wow! That's amazing. Yingluo, you are so awesome. Great." As he said that, he threw himself on Xia Yingluo's neck. "From now on, I will follow you to enjoy life." Ha ha ha. Actually, she is more happy about another thing. Yingluo is too beautiful, has a stubborn temper, and offends people so easily. If she has a good family background, then no one will dare to bully her in the future. However, thinking of this, she was a little confused. "Yingluo, since you are the daughter of the Li family, why is your surname Xia? And why did you hide your identity and come to the Emperor training camp? I remember you filled in the family background column in the admission information. He's a poor household, what's going on?" She asked too many questions. Xia Yingluo answered the first one first, "My surname is my mother's." "Isn't your mother's surname Ye Xingling? It is said that she is the reincarnation of Xiaoling. She has long since left the Ye family and accepted the Xia family. She even held a press conference back then. Have you forgotten?" When she said that, Jin Linger remembered that they had studied the modern history of the entertainment industry. It was said that there was a big sensation when Ye Xingling, the Red Star, recognized her ancestor and returned to the Xia family. Later, although she still used Ye Xingling, the name Xingling is just to distinguish her from the late Queen Xiaoling, which is equivalent to a stage name. The real name on the household registration book had long been changed to Xiaoling. So, there is nothing wrong with Xiaoling's daughter's surname being Xia. Jin Linger smiled and stuck out her tongue. "I didn't expect it at the moment. Who knew that the legend that happened in the history class would come into my life one day? Yingluo, seeing you, I have witnessed living history. Worth it?" Xia Yingluo answered her remaining questions. "Every child in the Li family has to leave home for training, and I came out to practice incognito. Now that my identity is exposed, even if the training fails, I..." She suddenly paused. Jin Linger asked, What's wrong with you? What will be the consequences if you fail in the training? Looking at her worried eyes, Xia Yingluo smiled reluctantly. There are no consequences, my parents love me, don't worry. She told Jin Linger that she was about to drop out of school, but when the words came to her lips, she really couldn't bear to say them. This year, even though her life was chaotic and bleak, she gained this beautiful friendship. She originally thought it would be easy to say goodbye, but now she is so reluctant to let go. Li Rui, who was on the side, had been listening to their conversation. At this time, he interrupted, "You two have been standing here for so long, aren't you tired? Come on, my brother will take you shopping to buy clothes. We will go drinking in the evening. We just won a big battle, it's time to celebrate." Xia Yingluo raised her head and glanced at Li Rui, who still had the same smile on his face. Jin Linger didn't notice anything was wrong with them and cheered, "Okay, okay, beautiful clothes." While cheering, he took the lead in jumping forward. Xia Yingluo was a few steps behind, shoulder to shoulder with Li Rui, brother. Li Rui's long legs walked at a leisurely pace. You don't have to make a decision so early on something that you haven't even thought about. Anyway, like me, you are just eating and waiting to die at home, and there is no shortage of work for you. Where do you want to stay? That's what it says, but... This is the emperor, Xia Yingluo sighed rarely, Dad will be unhappy. Li Rui laughed at her, when you chose to join the emperor's training camp, why didn't you think that Dad would be unhappy? Xia Yingluo was at a loss for words. She was so stunned by Zhao Yuxuan's beauty that she couldn't care less. Looking back now, I was really blind back then. How could I be so blind to all the scum? And Wei Lingnan, she changed the subject, Dad wants the headquarters to be safer. If he doesn't give up on you, are you going to be locked up in the headquarters for the rest of his life? Li Rui sneered, that's not like you. It's not that he doesn't worry about his sister, it's just that if he makes himself unhappy in order to avoid danger, what is the difference between alive and dead? Wei Lingnan wanted to chase her, but he didn't want to kill her. In Li Rui's opinion, this matter was not serious. Xia Yingluo whispered, let me think about it. Li Rui touched her head and walked forward humming a song. Arriving at a high-end shopping mall near the training camp, Li Rui bought clothes for the two girls one after another as if they were free of charge. He hadn't seen his sister for a long time and wanted to make up for all the clothes from this year. Pick out the best and most expensive ones and swipe your card without blinking an eye. Xia Yingluo was very happy with the purchase. Her second brother had excellent fashion sense and was generous with money. Going shopping with him was an absolute pleasure. But Jin Linger is a little embarrassed. After all, no matter how rich he is just Xia Yingluo's brother. He has nothing to do with Jin Linger. Seeing that any piece of clothing here is worth her tuition for one semester, she couldn't help but said, I don't want it anymore. What are you afraid of? It's rare that my second brother is willing to bleed money. If you don't swipe his card, you won't use it. Go to the goblin. End of this chapter.